0, and they should be fine there. A little bit of wind catching. Okay, this one's going up. Let me see. Sometimes it takes a few seconds to settle in. That should be good there. Alright. Okay, let's try 30 seconds again. So this is a hydrogen alpha filter, 7 nanometers. It's pretty narrow. Okay, thanks, Jack. We'll see how we do. And I'll close up the exposure box. And everything else is color balance. We don't have to worry. That's on default. Adjustment settings. By the way, if you're using your SkyRaider camera, you want to use it with your frame rate set to low. Set your frame rate to low. And this is 30 seconds. And we'll wait for the next frame to kick in. And I will boost up the white point a bit. Yep, that's field number 1. Yep, exactly. And I'm just going to see if we're guiding. We're guiding fine. A little bit of a wind kicking in. Hopefully it will stay down. Just verify here. I don't know if that's a cloud there coming. Okay, we're still on frame number 1. There we go, frame 2. And that is 30 seconds. I'm going to raise my, thanks Jack, I'm going to raise my white, or lower my white point to 100. I was on 150. And let's raise the black point a little bit, just a bit to maybe 10, just before the peak. Resolution's okay. I have it on standard 640 by 480. Yeah, I love this SkyRaider black and white. Beautiful camera. Now this is not a complete HA alpha object, hydrogen alpha object. It is a planetary nebula, and it's got a lot of oxygen 3 in it. It does have a fair amount of hydrogen alpha also. But yeah, I'm wondering how it looks without the dark field. Let's take it off. I'm going to disable it. And let's see how it looks without the dark field. I'm going to give it more exposure though. I think I'll go to probably 45 seconds. And by the way, for all those who join me, welcome aboard. I'm using the VRC 10-inch at roughly about f3.7. I say around 3.6 to 3.7, and the exterminator would be about 3.738 because of that 5mm difference. So it's pretty similar. That's without dark field. So let me put the dark field correction back on, and I'll leave it closed. By the way, this is 3 dark fields at 90 seconds each, 3 of them. Now you can see some of the amp glow without the dark field correction on, and the noise, which is expected. It's not a cooled camera. Let me just catch up here before it gets into that far. I need to get this filter. Yeah, it's a great filter, Rock. To work around the video adjustments not appearing until the next refresh, could one set the software to default video digitizer setting, then use brightness, contrast, gamma? I would imagine they could. Yes, Don? Yep. in your Minicam. Webcam Max doesn't really have those features. Yeah, Cam Twist does. Yep, you could do that. That would be a good idea too. But I'm not really touching here. I'll show you. It's so simple, this black and white. I'll just stretch that over so you can see what I'm doing. Can you see that? Right here, is that big enough? Hue is basically default. Saturation, bright, everything's at default. I just left everything at default. And basically what I'm doing is the histogram, I lowered the white point to 100 and raised the black to 10. Now I could raise this, we'll try 50, but I think it's going to get noisy. Let's just try for fun. It's going to get really, really noisy. You'd be better to give it more exposure time. See there, I raised it too much. So let's try 75. Back it off to about 75. No, because you have the gamma here. Right there. But I don't know. I shouldn't say no. There'll probably be some changes. You will have a, sorry, I'm just drinking some fluid. You will have a countdown timer. Exactly, Rick. Yep, exactly. You're best to leave the contrast, gamma, everything at default. You can tweak it a little bit. Yeah, I fully agree. You're right, Don. That's not bad there. Now, let's be less aggressive with the white point. Let's go higher with exposure. You know what? I'm going to change this. I don't like this color here. I like this one. This is my favorite. Where is it? Under miscellaneous. Aqua. I can see it better. I can see this writing better for my eyes. Okay, so what are we going to change? We're going to, I have a hard time seeing this when it's in the dark gray. So let's give it 45 seconds. 45 seconds. So the 45 seconds will be almost matching half of the dark field. I used 90 seconds, 3 of them. So this, basically, I could tweak this a little bit, but I would rather use the histogram. Okay, so I'm going to back this off to, let's go at 175. It'd be a cleaner image, more exposure. Yeah. Oh, you could tweak the contrast a little bit. I'll show you after what we can do. But I think it's better just to keep it simple for now. Guider seems to be doing okay. And dark field is applied. Again, I took 3 at 90 seconds, so once you have that, so you don't accidentally click on this, just close it up. Let's see what happens. Get a better idea of the, now the histogram might be harder to see in this color. Let me just see on the next refresh. It could be because it's just the odd frame. But once you get used to your camera, you can make adjustments ahead of time. Yeah, it's harder to see that one, the histogram. So I'll put it back in where it was. File? No, it's not file. Miscellaneous. Yeah, I have to leave it in there to see the histogram. Actually, I can see this okay. It's when you click on it, it goes black. That's what happened. Okay. I'll leave it there. I prefer that. I can see the histogram much easier. Alright, so let's go to 150. And we can take this one to about 15. You know this isn't going to change unless you have thin clouds. This histogram's going to remain constant with the same exposure time. So pretty well you can adjust your black point and just tweak your white point up with each refresh. I want to really push this one on the Crescent Nebula. Should be nice. Oh, by the way, let's bring up the time. Now the timer was in the hat. Okay. Close. Let me see where this one is. I like that. I like the fact the clock doesn't go on. Why can't I close this? Is it because it's in a box? There we go. I like the fact that the clock is down below, out of the way of the image. It doesn't affect it, so that's pretty nice. Oh, hi. Is this Jose? Glad I could put on the show. Okay, buddy. Thank you, buddy. Yeah. I don't know if it refreshed yet. I'm sure it did. Okay, let's tweak this and let's see what happens now. We're going to go to about a -45. Let's not touch anything else but the contrast, and let's see what happens with the histogram. Let's see where it shifts. Okay, very good, Carlos. Thank you. Yeah, it's guiding so well. It's hard to tell. You have to look at the histogram, and you'll see a shift in the histogram. You're definitely going to see a shift now because I put the changed the contrast from 0 to -45. So let's see what happens. It's definitely too dark. I got to pull out the outer lobes more. Yeah. Well, like we all been humming and harping over, we need a countdown timer. Would be nice. And Rock, I was talking to Rock today, and they're working on it. So. Yeah, I think you could tell a lot easier with the color camera when it changes. But there you saw a drastic change. That brought out the outer lobes by just increasing the contrast. Now, let's take the gamma a little bit. Let's darken it a little, the background. I'm going to go at about 130. See what happens. Now, this histogram should shift this way to the left. because we're going to darken the background. It's almost the same as if I raise this black point over to the right, opposite, by moving the gamma to the right from 1 to 1.3. This histogram will shift towards the black point. It will darken the background. So let's see what happens. I gotta admit, that's pretty nice. It's a nice looking. For hydrogen alpha, a very narrow filter, we're picking up a lot of information in 45 seconds. Mind you, the gain is at 4. 5 is max, so we're using 3/4 gain. Okay, so you can see we darkened it. So we went too far. So that's why I like that gives you a perfect example, guys and gals, why you don't really need to play with this histogram gamma. This is your histogram, your gamma, and your contrast. You can use your histogram. It does the same, virtually the same thing. Okay, let's go down to 115. No, the brightness I have no control. I have no control over the brightness. The white level doesn't really control the stars, just, you know, like Miloslick, you use the white. This is different. This camera's got higher dynamic range. Doesn't really affect the stars like Miloslick. This almost acts like the gamma in Miloslick. The white point virtually acts like the gamma in Miloslick, the midpoint, because of the dynamic range is so much greater in this camera. I couldn't use the white point in Miloslick with the Exterminator or Extreme and get the results like this. It just wouldn't work. You want a nice peak up like this, Richard. You don't want this flattened out. Now, the wider you can get, the better, and you have to use your exposure to control that and your other settings. But once you go beyond the exposure, beyond your light pollution level, this peak's not going to get any wider in the information where this dumbbell is, right about here. Right there, I mean. Right there is your information. From there to there. It's not going to get any wider or higher. It's just going to drift to the right because you're brightening up the background by picking up more light pollution in the background. Oh, I see. Okay, Don, yeah. You're welcome, Richard. I see what you mean, Don. Yeah. So that's why I don't really... I learned my lesson, especially when I was testing the color camera. I was really pushing the contrast and the gamma, and I was losing the contrast in the stars. They were going flat, empty looking. So I almost gave up, and I just hit default after I disconnected from Jack. I hit default. This all went in the center, and then all of a sudden the stars went boom, bright, really nice. And I called Jack back, excited about it, and said, hey, look what I did. all this night testing, I was messing it up by using the contrast gamma and brightness. So I would basically leave these at default, maybe tweak them a touch, but don't tweak them too much. This is not operable in with the black and white. See, I can't even move that. Only with the color. Because of the something to do with the color matrix. Rock would have to explain it. It made sense. Monkey fingers, yeah, okay, Jack. The default works good. Now if I put this back to default, let's see what happens. So we're getting it pretty good there. Back to default. No, I won't do that. Let me just push this up a little bit. Lower this some more. We'll try about 130. That should pick up a little more detail. Yeah, I'll put it back to default. I'll try and get it my best the way it is, Bob, and then I'll put it back to default. Number 4. You're welcome, Don, right there. Yeah, I figured with the HA filter, I better, I might as well use a higher gain. There's no sense me putting the gain down to 2, unless I had a Lumicon Deep Sky, because we're just going to have long exposures. So this is pretty clean. It's not that noisy, this sensor, so it can handle higher gain. That's weird. I don't know why I have boxes around them. See these boxes? That's the first time I ever saw the box around them. Now I know when I click on them, I get a box. But I've never seen this with the boxes like this. I don't want to play with them and hit the gain. If I click on this, not hue, I mean contrast, let's see. See the box? But it's a different box. That's weird. I don't know what's this. I've never seen this. Have you seen this, Bob? Or anybody that owns these? See, look at that. It automatically went to default. I didn't even click on this, and it went to auto exposure. That's okay. We don't have to wait for a 3-minute. Let me take that off. Maybe that's why it shouldn't have the box. Yeah, that was weird. Okay, let me just put that back to 4. Let me click on this, get rid of the box. Yeah, you have to click on it, I think. That won't go away even if I click on it. Okay, let's go back to 45. No 3-minute countdown, wait. Yeah, this is weird. Okay, I can't get rid of that one, but at least these two are gone. I'm going to close that up. That was weird, Jack. We had some boxes around these. All 3 of these had this strange box around them. Now I got rid of these 2 by clicking, but because this is inactive, I can't get rid of this. And it just went, all of a sudden, there was a check mark in the auto exposure. I didn't even click on it. It just automatically put a check mark in there. So I'm going to close that one up. And we'll close that one up. Yep, little gremlins. Okay. Time is 11:15. We got to move on to some better objects. I was hoping to capture some images of this, but I think the problem is time I'm ready to switch filters, the 03. This is going to be past the meridian. Let's see. Let me see how much time I have on this object. I can go past the meridian without a flip, but oh, we got lots of time. I got a good 2-3 hours on the M27 before it hits. About 2 hours it will hit the meridian. So I'll come back to this and capture HA and 03, because this is one I want to do. It's a planetary. There's a lot of 03 in it. Another one I'd like to try is the bubble. Bubble is an emission, though. It's not a lot of 03 in it. It's not many other planetaries up on the east side. Yeah, the Owl's way over on the other side. The Ring's out of the way by now, by later on when I'm ready. All right. Let's wait for this last refresh. Now you can see the peak there changed, Rick. And that's not bad. That looks pretty good. And again, if I just want to not worry, let's put this back to default. So we got this all back to default. And watch the histogram. That means we lost some, let me see. We lost some contrast. And it's going to get a little brighter. So this should pretty well just shift a bit to the right. See what happens. Yeah, I'm going to go to the crescent. Yeah, we could do that one, Don. It might be alright. Crescent, that has a little bit more O3 in it. Thanks, Dwee. Oh yeah, Bob. Spoke about that. That will be coming. Okay, let's see what happens with this peak. I think it refreshed. I'm not sure. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so it went the other way because we lost the contrast. Okay, so moving the contrast from minus 45 back to 0 had more effect on the image than moving gamma from 130 back to 1. Going this way brightens the background, but going this way increases the contrast. So we lost contrast. We got a darker background. Even though the gamma is less and it should have been lighter in the background, the contrast had more effect. So we're going to leave that there, and what I'll do, this will be a final one. Let's just jump this one to 75. That way everything's on default, so you can just see what tweaking the histogram does. So right there, that won't change. It shouldn't, because we're not touching any of the contrast gamma sliders. So you know that peak will stay there. So we were able to raise this to about 75. I mean lower it. And I could raise this technically to 15. Okay, let's see what happens. Thanks, Jack. Yeah, it's a combination. Okay, so I killed that one there. Let's go to, I think 95 will be good. Yeah, let's try 95. Yeah, it's a combination. I'm using a 2-inch 0.75 RC Apple reducer, the one Rock sells. It's a nice one. It's pretty heavy. And the outer part, or longer part of the MFR5, no spacers in between the MFR5 and the camera. But you have to remember that the spacing between the 7.5 and the MFR5 is crucial. It has to be pretty dead on. And I'm using Bader click locks for that and the adapter. Do you guys notice something? The stars are a little bit better. I don't know if you're noticing that. The stars are better because I tweaked the focuser collimation ring. Now I tweaked it with the exterminator. Yep. Glow on the left, and that's because I'm pushing the right too much. Right here, that's the amp glow. There we go. Now without the dark field it would look worse. So I think that's pretty good there. There's a wee bit of coma here, touch. Not bad though. Just a tiny bit. But this side, where it's having all the problems, with the other camera now is on the reverse side, so it would be this side. So that side is definitely better than before. Before they were really donuts. They were bad. So I think I spent over an hour collimating that focuser ring. It's a lot of work, but it was worth it. Now you guys want to see glow, watch this. Take off the dark field correction. Now watch the difference. I'm still getting a bit of noise in the warm pixels in there, even with the dark field, because it's hard to match them. I'm using 90 seconds, but it's doing a pretty good job. You'll see the difference once this next frame kicks in. I'm pretty pleased with the dark field correction. It makes a big difference. It will shift to the right because the background will brighten up. But you're definitely going to see more noise. Now that's the first image. The odd. We have to wait for the next one. No, it doesn't, Richard. No cooler. That's what keeps the price down. It uses dark field correction instead of a cooler. You can see the amp glow here. Okay, we'll wait for one more, and that will give you a good idea of the dark field correction, how good it actually does work. Oh, we lost the guider. I think. We lost it a little bit. Star faded. I don't know why. Do we have clouds? Oh, no. What the heck? Do we have clouds? I'm staring at the monitor. I'm not even looking up. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I think the SkyRaider's doing pretty darn good going through that. Oh, jeez. Yeah, so much for the weather. Oh, I'm going to wait it out because it might get better. I know. Oh, okay. Let me slow down the, get rid of the exposure. Let's go back to 1 second. Oh boy, I was having fun there for a sec.